I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic.
Great Mother speaks to us as the Holy Spirit that inspired our incarnation, the still small voice of intuition that guides it, and what we know in and through each new and full moon phase of our lives. And of course, the lunar cycle is marked by the dance between Great Mother, Father God. It's light and shadows, that perpetual dance that's going on. And right now we have the nodal axes, okay, and that's all lunar oriented as well. There's a point upon the elliptical where the moon and the sun meet, and that's called the nodes. And that changes every 18 months, and now we're in a phase midway through. We've just had our mid-eclipse readings about a month ago. The North Node is in Leo, and the South Node is in Aquarius, and the Western and the North Node is in Cancer and in Capricorn and the Sidereal. And so what happens with these types of readings is that we really get a look into the planetary, your signs, collective consciousness and unconsciousness, specifically with lunar readings, and individual if you get a personal reading into the precise nature of how these energies are supporting you to feel and experience that divinity regardless of what's going on in our lives. When you know and live by your divinity, you feel it in your bones, you feel it in your heart and mind and body. You feel you are dearly loved. You feel that you are a child of the Great Mother, Father God, the mother of all mothers, the father of all fathers. You know that. You live, breathe, and have your being through this inner awareness. And this inner awareness, I summarize in a way for us to connect this feeling with one another and through one another in these readings. And they are free principles. The first principle is that we are dearly loved children of the Great Mother, Father God. Just saying it, just asserting that. Because that is the whole deal, right? That is the divinity, is in knowing and owning that. The deck has gods and goddesses on each card, and it's all about us owning our divinity as gods and goddesses by recognizing and seeing that those energies also emanate through and as us as well. The second principle is that we are never, ever condemned or left alone. We live in a world of relentless retribution. Even our entertainment is about judging. Hey, I love Judge Judy. And I think I love it, speaking for myself, just those type of court shows, really. The other entertainment things, not so much. But just personally, I mean, we all have our favorites because this is the collective consciousness, right? So for me, I like watching her because it's some kind of resolve that gets beyond the judgment and looks at really what is the equity of the situation, which is what these readings help us to see. They help us to see our soul experience and really what it's trying to do as us and through us. So we're never judged or condemned. We are just made more aware. And the third principle is that we're never left alone. Our angels, guides, and ancestors are always with us. We are so dearly loved that even in our illusionary experience in this earth realm, we are constantly being reminded of that if we would just tap into and own our divinity. So this feeling, this very nature of the moon sign, the very intuitive breath of inspiration of all life is what we are saying here with Great Mother speaking through her still small voice to us and through us, this feminine nature within ourselves to be able to receive and acknowledge this love is where we, in our physical form, tend to experience this divinity as shadows, darkness, challenges, and obstacles in life that keep us from actually having that root, instinctual, intuitive, primeval sense of this eternal love. So through these disappointments in life, as a result of abandonment or experiences of abuse that create pain and produce trauma so early in life and so routinely, we forget our divinity, and that these constraints that we experience, shadows, darkness, challenges, obstacles, etc., are really there as a means to remind us that we're never alone, that we're never judged or condemned, that we are divine. And so how is that, you say? How is this a means to remind me? Well, we are more than our physical selves. And so a challenge that is insurmountable to the ego mind. And here, when we talk about ego, we're talking about our biography, the story that we tell. If you were to write the book of your life, on the inside flap, the way you would describe yourself after your name is what we mean by ego here, because we are working from the presumption that either the ego is already healthy, or that you are here because you are striving to align your ego with your soul to become healthy. So there's a level of consciousness that's presumed in these videos being watched as well. So these obstacles, these shadows are constantly reminding us that we're more than our physical bodies, because when we surrender to the obstacle and the challenge or the shadow, especially if it's a new moon shadow, that is the opportune time to present our wishes and our prayers to the cosmos based on the energy that's available. We've just had our Pisces new moon, and so that energy was all about our psychic and mystical selves and trusting that and learning to surrender to that and wishes associated with that. And so each lunar cycle in the new moon phase, we can surrender ourselves so that we can see ourselves beyond the challenges. These challenges are also loving opportunities presented by Great Mother's shadows, because she speaks to us through signs and symbols. These shadows of the lunar phases, they help us to balance the mundaneness and intensity of the physical linear world that we experience in the ego body. Okay, so to every up, there's a down. To every in, there's an out, etc. And so there's yin-yang throughout the cosmos as we know it. And so there is this balancing effect that we experience in the physical world. But what Great Mother is reminding us of through these experiences of pain and trauma oftentimes is that we need to balance the mundaneness and the intensity of this physical linear world with our spiritual insight, with our internal imaginative wisdom that is always capable of facing that challenge and staring it down. That third eye of Horus, that's what that's about. That big old eye is like looking at this obstacle problem that we think is the world, and the end of it like, I've seen you before, I hear you come again, which usually is what trauma is all about. It's a pattern that the soul has had that is always being called up to be healed. And so that third eye of Horus is an opportunity always eternally available to us to, again, surrender to in order to balance that mundaneness of those patterns, the mundaneness of this day in, day out life that seems like it will never end, that is overwhelming us, that we have no control over. And we focus on the intensity of this need to control as opposed to simply being in charge of our divinity. And so another way that I like to share with individuals that this great mother energy supports us is by building our inner strength through these challenges. Now, I know that we hear this all the time, but what is really being said here is that the kind of inner strength that great mother is building, of course, is that soul strength that refreshes it, that soul evolutionary energy that it can experience within our physical life. We don't have to physically release the body and die in order for the soul to evolve. We can evolve and be reborn, as many of us know, be resurrected into a new self within our lives as we align with our soul, sometimes reluctantly. But here there's an opportunity to build that inner strength and resiliency on a soul level consciously. And so we can do it consciously or unconsciously, but when we know that the shadows through the phases from the new moon to the crescent, to the first quarter, to the full moon, third quarter, and the balsamic are all about energies within the constellations and the many mansions, the star mansions, the houses in the sky, to place us emotionally and intuitively in a space that we can feel the support, well, then these readings make a whole lot more sense. And so that's why knowing our birth chart, that eloquent picture of our soul and the ego experience it chose as us, is useful. Okay, so we can, actually locate ourselves. So because each of our stories and soul scenarios are so different that, Great Mother even channeled to me the universal heroine's tale of Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz for the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck, just so we could have a connection point, a through line, that we could all kind of have as a touch point and a touchstone for these readings. And originally I had prayed to Great Mother asking for guidance about how to get immediate downloads from her for individuals healing from mama drama trauma, which is my area of life coaching specialization. I'm an inner work life coach who specializes in the term that I coined, mama drama trauma, the taboo Me Too subject. And so there is a lot of information about that if you're interested. But what I have found out is that these readings really help anyone, any walk of life who is sensitive. They tend to be empathic or intuitive individuals that, for the most part, feel blocked, constrained, or paralyzed by emotions that are really originating from unacknowledged shadows. We all have shadows, and that is, it's an unacknowledged shame. It's something that we'd rather not admit in ourselves, a quality, something. And so these are aspects in our chart. They're not secrets. They're right there staring at us in our birth chart. I mean, I know, like, for me, it was really shocking when I was learning to read charts. And, as you learn, you go back to your own stuff. And I was cycling back to my own chart. And I learned that I was coming off a certain way to people because that is what my soul needed and what it wanted to be able to focus on what it needed to do this lifetime. So while my ego was feeling alienated and alone, my soul was like, good, I need space. I need to be alone. I got a lot of stuff to do. I ain't got time to be bothered this lifetime. I kick it with y'all the next go round. But this go round, I am really enjoying this anonymity. So That's something that people, who always say, oh, you should be doing this and people should be knowing what you're doing, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, Great Mother gets to all of us the way that she needs to. I don't need to be on a buglehorn about anything. The way the energies work is that we're all attracted to what we need, aren't we? And so with my work and my experience, I have found that this deck really does work. So if you are a subscriber, you've probably heard me refer to this quite a lot, that these readings are really designed for intuitives, sensitives, and empaths. Anybody can listen. Everybody's invited. It's just that I started uploading them for my clients as a support, interim support between sessions, because I like to teach my clients how to read their own birth chart to become conscious and everything. So anyway, that's important because the readings are not about telling you how you are feeling, okay? I'm not telling you how you feel. The readings are about you being able to be aware of what the celestial and planetary energies are that are affecting your emotional body, okay? And that you have a way out. Especially if you are a highly sensitive person, it gives you a way out of those blocked, constraining, and emotionally paralyzing situations, so that you can again be in touch with your divinity in a way that you're not overwhelmed by the emotion. And so Great Mother really wanted to connect through my work with people who have problems with the emotional connection and trusting the intuition or being overwhelmed by emotions. They tend to have some type of mama drama trauma or daddy drama trauma because that allowed for that intuition to be hyper served and to be hyper developed for survival. And Great Mother really wants to come through to her children who have had that alienating and estranged experience from the birth home experience, so that they can feel her love and learn how to get in touch with her love. She's really wanting to connect with them through my work. So I want to share that with you about the deck and about what the readings are about, because if you can unlock how the shadows bind you, and you can keep those challenges and obstacles from doing that, then you can shine your light in the world, your unique light. It wasn't until I was able to get in touch with that within myself, that whole thing about how I connect with people and the ego feeling alone emotionally and stuff, but my soul on an intuitive level kept on telling me it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. We need to get down to work. You only have so much time here. When I came to peace with that, oh my God, do I feel my divinity or what? I mean, the downloads I get are just... So let me go ahead. Okay. So, excuse me. So remember, Glinda in The Wizard of Oz, the Good Witch, she symbolizes Great Mother in The Wizard of Oz, okay? And remember, she inspired Dorothy to go to Oz, okay, who symbolizes Great Father, that yellow brick road, gut chakra, that instinctual part of us. Eye of Horus, sixth chakra, is that intuitive part of us. And so we have that ego-soul connection there. We have the rainbow world of Oz, the chakras. And so that experiential existence, the gods and goddesses in the deck, the chakra in the deck, the chakras in the deck, the lunar cycles in the deck. She came through with all of that, and she had Dorothy go there so that she could see the light of her being once again. She came from the black and white world of the yin and the yang, the origin of the cosmos, the birth family, the soul group, the urge to evolve and to experience, have sensory experience through the chakras. And she incarnated as she descended from the twister dream, okay, in the house, that root chakra rooted itself in Munchkin land, okay, and quickly growing through that onto the gut chakra, okay, the root chakra through the second chakra. Her desire, which she asserted, was to go back home in Munchkin land. And in the yellow brick road, the gut chakra, excuse me, Oz, the greenery of Oz, the heart chakra. So what we have here is her growing through that ego experience, that earth experience, to see her light again, which is Great Father, that light that shines and reminds us, of that greatness, okay? And so likewise, as the galaxies and planetary bodies, including our physical body, comprises the physical outer form of Great Father, the inner world of Great Mother, that still small voice that emanates from the primordial black hole and holds existence in her womb, is where we come from and express ourselves just like the planets and the galaxies, Great Father energy. Okay, so we're born of them and comprised of this energy. It is within us. We are made of star stuff. And our birth chart is just a picture of that star stuff at our birth. But we have transit charts as well. And so you can have a chart of when your child was born or when you got married or when you started a business. It'll talk about the birth of different things in your life as well. And so we do transit charts every new and full moon. This is the second quarter one. And we're looking at ourselves as such, as children of the Great Mother, Father, God, as divine children of the Great Mother, Father, God. And so the most important thing in our birth chart, therefore, are our sun and moon signs, because they activate all other aspects. The sun, inescapable, fixed light, casts its light on the nature and personality of the soul, whose actions are inspired by the shadows of the moon, the soul essence. So Great Mother inspires the emotions and our intuition, inspire our actions, inspire those unique personality traits, what I like to call that cosmic calculus that makes us who we are and who we are learning more about through these readings and through our experiences with these readings, paying attention to what actually does, come about in your life, These loving trends that are constantly available to us are unlocked through these readings, that unconditional, compassionate, nurturing, kind nature that Great Mother has for us and Great Mother expresses, but it's hard again to see in the physical world, right? We talked about that. And so let's tap into the season of this quarter. It's a look at what the supportive energies are for you to plot and plan this quarter. And so the plotting and the planning is the plotting of your lot to plant, right? And that's the new moon energy. The realization of what you've planted, the fruition, the light coming to full illumination, is the full moon. And the full moon also at the back end of it is about releasing things from what you've planted that you decide, I really don't want that anymore, or I really thought I wanted it, but I don't want it now, or that really didn't come to full fruition, it really was kind of a stunted growth, so I'm going to pull it out, So that's the full moon reading. And so your birth chart is an elegant illustration of where your soul was at the time of its incarnation. So just like this seasonal reading is tapping in on this present time between April and June, your birth chart tapped into the exact snapshot of the unique positioning of the planets and constellations as they were at the time of your birth. This was most accurately calculated and clocked in the VEDIC, Jyotish, or Sidereal astrology, the cosmic astrology that looks at the soul. It is it signifies, this moon sign signifies the karmic nature of your soul. Okay. The Western or tropical that we use in the readings as well specifically locates the soul in its present focus on Earth. its earth experience, honing in on its emotional status and its unique body mind that the soul occupies at this time. Okay? And so this two-way communication nexus between the ego and the soul, as signified in the Western moon sign, where emotion is uploaded to the soul, sidereal, and intuition downloaded from the soul to the earth-centric Western sign, is really what we are talking about when we're going back and forth, or rather when I'm going back and forth in the readings. I'm talking about if you are, for example, Aries Taurus, then what you have is, for instance, if you have a Taurus moon sign, it's likely you have an Aries in the Vedic moon sign, okay? And this is already divinely aligned because the Taurus with the feminine Venus ruler and the Aries with the masculine Mars tells us the emotions of this fixed earth sign is providing the cardinal intuitive energy of the soul sign, an evolutionary opportunity to learn leadership in a physical environment enamored by sensory pleasure and stimulation. So, such deep pleasure through this awareness and knowledge of supportive celestial energies as they travel within, through, and around your lunar signs, houses, nodes, nakshatras, gives you a general reading for Taurus moon signs. In this example, to tell you what these energies are for your collective celestial unconscious based on the basic Aries sidereal moon sign. So I read the energies from the first house. So, for instance, this Aries Taurus example, the reading would make Taurus the first house, Gemini the second, Cancer the third, etc. However, if your unique individual chart, you have your moon sign in your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, or 12th house, book a personal reading for a precise assessment of your Western Vedic, solar, lunar, and ego soul energies supporting their alignment, and therefore your experience of divinity as a dearly loved child of the great Mother, Father, God, who is never judged or condemned or left alone. And with that, here is your 2018 second quarter moon sign, Great Mother Speaks reading.
Hi Sagittarius, Capricorn moon people. I'm going to tell you what I am sensing and what I'm seeing for you this spring equinox. I'm sensing that right now you are, as of the March full moon on the 31st, really reassessing or downloading on a soul level what is important to you, reprioritizing what is important to you in terms of success, in terms of goals, in terms of life achievement. You are perhaps, if not reassessing it, really trying to figure out how to achieve the success that you want at this particular time. And you are perhaps intuiting that your home situation is either creating a challenge to you fulfilling that, or your home situation is a means by which you can fulfill that. I'm sensing that as a result of this, there may be some opportunities that come up in your close family relationships, your extended family relationships rather, that will allow you to be successful, be it in network marketing or in some form of business, in some form of your career, or what you feel your life purpose is. That doesn't always require a transaction. It's not always transactional in the sense of money or material gain, but it's always energetically transactional. We are here to support one another in our soul evolution, and so I'm sensing that for you. So with regard to what I'm seeing Great Mother coming through with on the full moon in March, which will imprint the entire season, in this Virgo Libra full moon in your 10th house as it relates to success and goals and achievement, is the Dagda card. The Dagda is the double yin card, the law of divine mother card, which has to do with downloading those intuitive unctions that you're getting into a conscious level. We see here that the Earth is symbolized by a masculine figure, which is often the case in the Eastern world, where the Earth is seen as a material manifestation of Great Mother energy. So we have the double yin in the third quarter moon, which is about release and letting go. So there's a release and there's a letting go of anything that prevents you from actually aligning with those definitions of success that you have for yourself, even if it includes the home environment, that fourth house energy of the sun illuminating its light on the moon from your fourth house in Pisces, Aries. And so the Dagda energy opens up your reading and it colors the entire season for you, that connecting with that Great Mother energy. And so that's what you've done by watching this video. This is going to give you the space and the broad perspective that you need to initiate any changes or to cultivate any relationships that you need to fulfill that soul purpose that you have, that 10th house energy. This energy is supported by the nakshatra of Uttara Falguni. Uttara Falguni is going to really support you in the realization of what your own occult knowledge is. Occult means unseen. And so that spiritually scientific energy of Uttara Falguni is really going to, again, take you into that expansive space of knowledge where you're going to see your situation from a broader perspective, whatever your wish fulfillment is for this life. You're going to, perhaps in the past, you may have seen it as, okay, on my job, I have to do X, Y, and Z to achieve, my goal. And so this is creating a problem of work-life balance. And so I'm going to have to either make a choice between work or home. In this space, this full moon on the March 31st full moon in Virgo Libra, you're going to be able to see how relationships you have in your life can support you. You know, it's going to be like light bulbs kind of going off with, oh, Auntie so-and-so could help me with the kids or could help with whatever. And it's just going to be a deeper knowledge that you have about resources that are available to you, both externally, but mainly internally. And so what your internal resources are. As we open up and expand into this season for you in the April full moon on the 15th in Pisces, Aries, in your fourth house, carrying over from the Pisces, Aries sun illuminating the March full moon on the 31st, this now in your moon sign, your fourth house, Pisces, Aries, we're seeing the energy of fear. There is some apprehension, some trepidation about moving forward with this new awareness, this new knowledge. And so Great Mother comes through and she's telling you that there is an opportunity for you to act on a decision that you've made to face that challenge. This is the new moon in Pisces, Aries. So Pisces in the Sidereal is downloading from your higher mystic knowledge, your mystical self, and the Aries emotionally wanting to act on that, but there being some degree of first quarter moon root chakra energy going on here. Need to acknowledge the decision you've made to face that challenge, to reground yourself in this higher wisdom. The nakshatra that's supporting you here is Revati, and Revati is a true Piscean energy. It is a giver energy. It wants to give to people. It wants to share. So perhaps in that example of you wanting to spend more time at home, you're really feeling that you're getting the knowledge and the wisdom that you need to do that in a way that still allows you to fulfill your hopes, your dreams, and your goals. Maybe the goals as they're defined by your work means you receiving some type of award or promotion, but for you, it could mean that your creative work is just getting out, or your management skills are just being appreciated by those who mean the most to you in that environment. Okay, and so that's the energy of Uttara Falguni from that full moon coming forward into this Ravati, supporting you to actually have the knowledge and the wisdom to know what really is going to support others as you are growing in support of yourselves. And so that is the supportive, that is the source rather of the fear. It's not really tapping into that. And so stay connected with Divine Mother energy as she assists you to face the challenges that open up for you this season. Because as the new moon progresses from the phase of the contemplation and the planning, well, as you think about what you're planning, you will take responsibility. You will have an inner unction to take responsibility in moving forward with what those home issues need to be. So Ravati is also about being able to be happy doing or owning your inner wisdom, your occult wisdom. And so taking responsibility for what you know on a gut level, in other words, and feeling within yourself that, hey, I can do this, I'm ready to do this, is what is supporting you and buoying you forward. We can often feel that in our mental space that, oh, there's no way I could do this. I can't do this by myself. And that's absolutely true, which is why we have supportive energies within and around us all the time. And this is the report to let you know what those are. By the time the full moon comes and you've planted that seed of taking responsibility for your intuitive downloads and for overcoming the fears based on the supportive energies you know that are available to you, this full moon on the 29th of April is going to allow you to kind of wild out as you think wilding out is. So for you, it could be really, really a wild thing to shift from how you were in your home or your work environment to just focusing on the creative things that mean something to you. That could be really, really wild. But in actuality, you are facing a kind of a dark new moon situation where you are completely contemplating what's going on and you're beginning to express and communicate it. This full moon energy in April in Libra Scorpio in your 11th house is speaking to those groups at work, those circles that you work with. And you might really just be interested in impressing the people that are in your circle, or impressing the people in certain positions. Or if it's not so much about impressing people, but about that you have this reciprocal soul connection with people in certain places that you really want to fulfill. And that's what's important. But what often gets thrust in a place of what we genuinely want is some outer idea of success is the point here. And so this full moon in Libra Scorpio in your 11th house is speaking to you being able to, on a soul level, to reassess those personal and professional relationships so that they can be expressed with the ingenuity and the authenticity that you need in your life now, that you need in your life today as of the full moon in April. Because this nakshatra, Chitra, is the universal architect. Where else would the universal architect be other than Great Mother in the sky, who has composed the Twister Dream? Okay, so she has orchestrated this whole situation when Dorothy is trying to return home to find no one but a Twister Dream to greet her. And that is the true download in our waking and sleeping state. That second chakra, waning gibbous moon, which is all about really getting in touch with what our desires are, with what we really want in life before we resume life, to share it with others. So this is where you are right now, and the sun is illuminating this moon in your 11th house from the 5th house, which is in Aries Taurus for you. So the soul wanting to lead and go forward with this new way of thinking of success and its values, and the ego downloading and communicating from a more authentic self of what pleasure is for it. So you're dancing with centering yourself. You're in this new self, and so you're kind of going back and forth by the full moon in April, the end of April, between the old self and the new self. Okay, so there's some aspects of what I used to do at work, to get this award or promotion that I still kind of do, because the will was in motion, right? Okay, energy tends to follow where it's been going. An object, at rest stays at rest, and an object moving tends to stay moving, And so it takes us a while to kind of put the brakes on to redirect the energy. And so you have this back and forth until you center yourself. And the full moon in April on the 29th will give you an opportunity to do that with this full light in your 5th house of your self-expression, of your creativity, of fun, of what is meaningful to you. You might start going out with a group of friends or dating someone new, and an old relationship is kind of still in the background, but you are again kind of slowing things down and reversing your pedal so that you can go into a new direction at this time. And so you might feel that way a little bit, but just as we see here, Dorothy clicking her heels 3 times, that's what you're doing. So that's a process. 1, 2, 3. And so we live out that process, and Great Mother saying that's exactly what you're doing. This will give you the momentum that you need for the new moon in May. So again, we're planning, we're planting, we're contemplating how to go forward. And for you, this is with the Mayat, Egyptian goddess of the scales, Justice. At this particular point, you may feel that the distance that you've come through this journey has not gotten you exactly where you've wanted to be. That is what this card represents. This is first quarter, third eye card. And so you have acted on a decision that you've made to face a challenge, but you feel that maybe the work situation, changing directions, maybe, that wasn't such a good idea after all, or that you're dating someone new and like, oh, well, boy, the old relationship really wasn't that bad, or something like that. Well, this new moon in May is in Aries Taurus in your 5th house. So again, that solar energy in Aries Taurus, that was the full moon in April on the 29th, carrying through the new moon in May on the 15th, is really that emotional space now. And so emotionally, what is it that you're wanting to express? Emotionally, what is it that you really, are intuiting needs to be the new creative expression? And so it's kind of an in-between space, yet it's a very powerful space, just as the space that, of shifting gears to go in a different direction. That's a lot of power that it takes to shift directions, right? And so you're at that place, you're at that crossroads, and you are clear about what will bring you pleasure. You are clear about what your new definitions of success are, but it's not really living up to that. Hold tight. You are being supported by the energy of Bharani. And Bharani is a nakshatra that can bear the negativity of others. Why else wouldn't your new direction work? It's not because of anything within you. You are a divinely, dearly loved child of the Great Mother, Father God, who's never condemned, left alone, or judged. It would have to be from an external negative reaction. So you're completely supported by being able to bear that, which is why the unction is to hold tight. Your soul knows that the decision that it's made is exactly the decision that needs to be made. Just hold tight for the manifestation. We're in the new moon phase. As this new moon progresses in May, you're going to really discover that surrender is the best policy. Surrendering your expectations of what that new definition is going to ultimately be in the world, what it's going to ultimately produce in the world. We really don't know, do we? All we know is how we feel. And so allow that process of feeling the discomfort of your comfort zone being shifted to be. When we allow ourselves to shift our comfort zone into greater and greater evolution and greater strength and resiliency, we do that through surrender. This is the heart chakra first quarter moon card. So making a decision to act based on a need to face a challenge sometimes, and really oftentimes in my experience, requires that we surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. Surrender means that we allow the higher wisdom to operate fully in our lives. Many times we'll pray and we'll pray and we'll pray for something and forget that we haven't followed through with some intuition that we received about that prayer 2 weeks ago. You know, the prayer may have been, oh my goodness, I really just want to, start this new relationship start a relationship with the person who is this way and this way and this way, and I don't have to do this or I have to do that, or like my old relationship. And the person comes through, but we forgot to listen to the intuition that said, love the good parts about that person. So that we could carry that energy forward into our next relationship and amplify it. Whatever we're grateful for, we amplify. And so we want to amplify the intuition that comes through. See, this is what the whole season for you is about, is that law of Divine Mother, really adhering to that. And when that knowledge comes through, as we see Dorothy in the poppy field, when just on the outskirts of the palace, they are succumbed by the poppy field, that Great Mother comes when Scarecrow and Tin Man cry out for help. And so that's all that you need to do. You just need to ask for help at this particular time to see your way through. This is, again, an energy that will support you in bearing the negativity of others. It will also give you a greater insight into what really brings you pleasure in life, the luxuries and things like that. So if you shift your focus to those things, then the reactions of others will not seem to be so momentous during this new moon season for you. And it's important that you shift your focus, because Uranus is moving into Taurus from Aries. And so it's been in your 4th house for 7 years, where you've been dealing with family issues. Okay, and domestic issues, maybe issues with your mother, or how you are mothering your children, or how you are managing people in a work environment. And so with this transition for the next 7 years, at this time of the new moon in May on the 15th, around this time, moving into Taurus, your 5th house, you are going to be looking at your unique genius as it relates to your creative expression, and your values associated with that. So this is energy that's supporting you to really, really manifest the purpose of your life, really. So it's not just kind of surrender to your higher power, listen to Great Mother. It's really aligning yourself with your soul so that you can operate the law of ego form and manifestation in a true, genuine fashion. This is a law card. It is a double yin, single yang card. And again, we have that double yin energy here for you, Sagittarius, Capricorn moon people. And Sagittarius in the Sidereal, you know all about downloads. Great Mother wants you to get in touch with that download of what you see from that inner eye. Okay? And act on it. Completely act on it. Release, let go, forgive, 3rd quarter moon, anything that prevents you from doing that. Absolutely anything or anyone. Because it's your time to do that. With Uranus in your 5th house, and now you have this new moon in May that's in Aries Taurus, it's really calling you to shine your light. So that may be difficult for you if practicality is lording over your life. And Great Mother is speaking to us from our particular cosmic calculus, and she knows that could be a tendency of Capricorn moon. So what comes through for you during the full moon? Full moon comes through with energy supporting you to establish boundaries. So this is Durga. Durga is new moon during the full moon. That's okay. Gut chakra card. So the new moon here would be more of, not being able to see your way clearly. And Great Mother saying that in order to do that, some clarification will come through for you as you define boundaries that you need with people and with situations from your gut. What is your gut telling you, Sagittarius, Capricorn moon people, now that you have been processing, now that you have been working with the law of ego form and manifestation? And letting go of anything that does not allow you to express your soul purpose. That's what this law is. This law is about ego form expressing its soul purpose. The law of ego form in manifestation. So you are at this crossroads that by the time of the full moon on the 29th in Aries Taurus, you are, the full moon in Scorpio Sagittarius in your 12th house, you're able to make that 12th house transition by establishing boundaries. Establishing boundaries and maintaining boundaries are two different things, however. So really be clear about the repetitive, loving talk with people. And also the fact that for this full moon in Scorpio Sagittarius in your 12th house, it's the end of a zodiac wheel. So this is major work that you've been doing with self-expression and your values, and particularly as it relates to career and your life purpose. So you want to be aware that the full moon light illuminating this full moon is in your 6th house of Taurus Gemini. So you are assisted in establishing boundaries by genuine communication about your daily life needs, about what you need to be healthy, okay, your work-life balance. If you are having challenges in this area, you will know if you are experiencing problems with your hands, your shoulders, coughing. If you are having problems with your throat, your neck, your vocal cords, you will know that you're having problems with this particular issue, and it is creating an imbalance with your ego form, not being able to act on what you have intuited. So the support that's available for you is the nakshatra of Anudra. So focus during this full moon on this devotional energy that's very congenial, very friendly energy, so that people will sense congeniality from you, amicability from you. They will sense a devotion to what your sincere desires are, not an attack on them whatsoever. They will sense this Anudra energy that has emotional attachment, but with consciousness, Anudra attaches to things for its highest good. Let the ego attach to the purpose of its manifestation, as opposed to the issues others may be having with your transformation. This is a powerful reading, a powerful insight that you may want to listen to numerous times in order to really let what Great Mother is saying to you sink in. She's really coming at you with some real love about what is a difficult process for you with this 12th house energy. It really, really is, because you're learning to live the law. You are aligning the gut chakra with the third eye, and the third eye has the antenna from the gut chakra, right? Okay, that's the antenna in the gut chakra that leads up to the third eye. That's ego soul alignment. So there is, during this full moon, this aligning. You're learning to live the law of ego soul alignment. You are learning to trust the actions that you're taking to face a challenge. You don't know how the challenge is going to come out. And it's not about knowing how the challenge is going to come out, but about surrendering during this season to what you are getting clarification on. It takes a little while. And it takes a while because we do live in two worlds, don't we? You know, we have waking and sleeping life, and, you know, we have twisters that we're taken up into, and, you know, diversions and daily work and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why Great Mother moves, and she shifts every 2.5, 3 days to these different celestial bodies and nakshatras and padas and things that allow us to buoy ourselves through this journey of life, this death and rebirth process. That's what you're going through, and that is ultimately what you're going to embody at the climax of this season. The Osiris Horus card is all about that process. It's all about sacrificing what no longer serves you. Relationships, situations, ideas, attitudes, and behaviors that no longer serve who you are interiorly anymore. A lot of supportive energy for you to do that with the Nudra. People are not going to feel cut off or alienated from you. You may feel that way. But if you work from these energies, people will sense the congeniality coming from you. And you will definitely feel that way from a Scorpion Sagittarius sense, because it is in your 12th house. 12th house is associated with hospitalization, incarceration, because those experiences give us an opportunity to integrate the experiences through the zodiac wheel up to that point. And up to this point in your zodiac wheel of your life purpose, your wish fulfillment, your career, your purpose in life, that sort of thing, you have gone through, these personal relationships, these work relationships, the domestic issues, and now you are integrating what you've learned. And so that has to be done solitarily. That's not a group project. We have to we know within ourselves, and that is the only way we can be reborn, is within ourselves. Dorothy ultimately had to get the broom herself. We have all kinds of support. She had the Tin Man, she had the Scarecrow, she had the Lion, she had Toto, her intuition, and the Great Mother Speaks deck. But ultimately, she had to get the broom, didn't she? And that's what happened when she accidentally doused her with water. So no, we don't know how we're going to get our power back from a situation that seems like it's taking it away from us. But we do know that as we follow and as we trust the guidance of Great Mother, that is the only reality that truly does exist. It's all about us getting it. It's all about us staying in alignment with it. And through that, with this waxing gibbous moon of refinement, reevaluation, editing our past to be truthful with where we are in the present, we can always die and be reborn. And that's really scary for most people. Most people wait to live an entire life before they're reborn. But if you have enough courage, and the courage of this Scorpio Sagittarius full moon is giving you all kinds of power to be reborn with this Anudra. That's Scorpio on the Sidereal, ruled by Mars. It's not ruled by Pluto on the Sidereal. So that's all kinds of power to be reborn. We can be reborn many times within a lifetime. That's scary because it does uproot us many times as well, doesn't it? Finally, your June ends this season with you owning your beauty. I'm so excited for you, Sagittarius, Capricorn moon people. You've had a time. And Great Mother is saying this new moon on the 13th of June in Taurus, Gemini, in your 6th house, is allowing you to own your new daily life, what your health needs are in terms of your body, your mind, and spirit, what needs to be what in order for you to experience that, your work-life balance as well. And Nefertiti is when Dorothy brings the broom back to Oz in the castle. So you've taken your power back by the new moon in June. This Taurus Gemini energy in your 6th house is allowing a type of ego soul communication to go on that's very practical. So it's the kind of communication with Nefertiti owning your beauty that is okay, so you have your power back. Okay, in the morning, instead of jumping up and doing this and this and this for everybody before you can sit down and catch your breath and have a cup of coffee, you need to get up an extra 45 minutes and just breathe and just have time to yourself. Make that cup of coffee before everybody's up. Have your own thoughts, your own time, your own space for your thoughts, so you can think of yourself and think of your day, and then just let them slowly get up and you set the tone for the day. Many times we will go through many cycles and seasons of that kind of download, won't we, before we actually act on it, if ever. But Great Mother's coming through, and she's saying with this 6th house energy of Taurus Gemini, you're going to be downloading that kind of practical insight on a daily basis. And with our free will, the more that we're able to implement, depending on where we are, we're all in different places in our evolutionary development, aren't we? So some things we can do and some things we can't. But just allow yourself to love that part of yourself that can't necessarily act and surrender right now anyway. Just allow yourself to love that part of yourself anyway, and to appreciate and respect that part of yourself anyway for how it feels and where it is, so that it won't morph into a manipulative shadow that will create unconscious experiences in your life. You see what I'm saying? You know, so there'll be a part of me that I know that I need to eliminate a certain thing from my diet. Spirit's been telling me that. Been telling me that it interferes with my life purpose or whatever by making me feel, you know, a certain way or whatever, and telling me that. But I have learned that if I go ahead and embrace that part of myself, there's a card called Embracing Your Shadow that you don't have, but that's why it's in the deck. I've learned to embrace that part of myself and say, I can love her too. I can love her too. That it makes it easier for me when I have that desire to go after that thing, that at least I won't do it within the time frame that I know that I need to get my work done. And gradually I won't do it at this time, and gradually I won't eat it at this time, and gradually I won't do it, and then gradually I just won't eat it at all, because it's been replaced with something else that part of my personality realizes that I need to focus where I'm going. You know, we experience what we focus on. And so if we allow ourselves to see our shadow and focus on loving it, we can love it into alignment, as we're doing with the Great Mother Speaks readings. And that's what you've done. You've loved yourself into aligning with your beauty, Sagittarius, Capricorn moon people. This new moon in June on the 13th in your 6th house is probably bringing up a desire to communicate what your power is now, and maybe in that work situation where you are so much impressed with getting the reward or the promotion, but with working with a certain group, maybe now you even have ideas from all the downloading that you've done, and now you're acting on it. You're saying, you know what, maybe this group and this department, maybe we should ABC in order to XYZ, because I've noticed that what you all really want is such and such and such and such. And you've been to take the company in a whole different direction with something that is great based on you following and owning your own power and beauty. Isn't that marvelous? That's what Great Mother is coming through, and she's saying for you, because the nakshatra is Rohini, and Rohini is very bullish. It charges through. It gets things done. Now, it can create enemies by doing that, but once again, if we're conscious of the nature of the energy that's supporting us, we can weld it with our divinity. That's where gods and goddesses come from. Don't we ride on fire and walk on water? Absolutely, because we know the nature of it. And so knowing the nature of this energy, Sagittarius, Capricorn moon people, you'll be able to ride this beauty. It charges through things, but it's very beautiful. It's very charming and magnetic. And so as you are fulfilling your goals and shifting thoughts and ideas of other people, even by communicating those things with this waning gibbous moon energy, sharing with gratitude what you have, you will be able to engender a new kind of environment for yourself, as opposed to feeling overwhelmed as you perhaps did during the April new moon. So by June, 3 months later, there's a whole different space, and you have a whole new way of facing the world, facing your life. Rohini, during that new moon, will probably give you great power as well, with new moon wishes such as, I want to easily and effortlessly be able to, with this Gemini new moon, to communicate with others in a way that allows them to honor my highest wishes, dreams, and aspirations. I want to be able to negotiate contracts with people that will allow me to pursue, my career wishes for my highest good. This is enabled through self-compassion that I was just talking about. Loving those parts of yourself that maybe you entered not quite being able to do. But loving those parts of yourself that want and need expression. This new moon in your 6th house is very magnetic. You will attract the compassion of others as well, the more compassionate you are to yourself during this new moon. And so with those new moon wishes, there's a greater likelihood that by the full moon in June that you will be able to face any challenge remaining for you in your life expression. Now, we will always have challenges with our life expression because it's ever evolving, isn't it? So with this first quarter throat chakra card, you are acting on decisions that you've literally made to face the challenge of communicating your new self, throat chakra, of sharing your new self with the world, of actually articulating what those values are, not in a way of explanation or of defense or in a way of justification for who you are or validation of any of that, but because you are so excited. This full moon is in Sagittarius Capricorn, your 1st house. So this is your full moon of the year, Sagittarius Capricorn moon people. And so you have arrived at your new self, your new career identity, your new identity as it relates to your new values of success, of achievement, of what it really means to have purpose in your life. You will have fully arrived at that particular place with a moon illuminated by the sun in Gemini Cancer, your 7th house. So you are communicating your life purpose to others and renegotiating your personal and professional life in ways that reflect your true self by the full moon on June 28th. This is also happening during the summer solstice, and it's happening as it relates to the Saturnal energy in Sagittarius Capricorn. So that is also in your 1st house. So the intensity of what you've been feeling with the school teacher of Saturn in your 1st house for the last 5 months or so, 4 months or so, is culminating into this full moon in June as it relates to what you now determine is success. What you now determine for your life means for you to have achieved what you're here to achieve at this particular moment in time in your life. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and liking. That's a wonderful, wonderful reading for you. Great Mother has spoken. And above all and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.